Maybe like the beginning of this school year, I kind of just started telling people more details of how I became a Christian, because it was something I was a little bit embarrassed about. Maybe it made me a little bit different than my friends and how they came to know Christ. But before 5th grade, like the summer before 5th grade, my 4th grade year, I had two friends whose parents passed away, and they were both pretty hard on me, pretty tragic to my life, because I just felt bad for my friends, and that will come up later. But that summer I was kind of like tired with church. Maybe I just like gotten out of kids' church, so I was kind of in the older group, and I didn't really want to be there anymore. And I came to middle school, and I was excited to get up there, but I still didn't really want to be there. I remember asking my mom, like, do I have to go to church on Wednesday? Like, I don't really want to, but I did. And at church camp, I just remember sitting down and putting my Bible under my chair and just thinking, this is stupid and I don't want to be here, which was really actually kind of scary for me, because I've been raised in church, and I'm not really sure that I told many people that I'd ever really thought about like that. But through that week at church camp, I just kind of did listen, and I took notes, and I felt like God was just really speaking to me. And I went through the rest of that summer still kind of trying to ignore a lot of it. I felt guilty for the sins that I'd done in my life, even though maybe they're not like super bad to some people, like I wasn't like on drugs or anything, but in my mind they were terrible to me because I wasn't perfect. And later that summer, my middle school pastor at the time was Grant, and he couldn't make it, so we had another guy come up and speak, and he talked about two guys that were in a car wreck, and it was just a story. One of them was the pastor's son, so I kind of started listening a little bit harder. And they got to heaven, and the pastor's son wasn't saved. He said, but I read my Bible all the time. He said, but I went to church. And he said, that doesn't mean you're a Christian. He said, you can't just live off of your family's faith. And so I came home, and I went to my friend's house, and I didn't want to tell my dad I wasn't a Christian, because I was the pastor's daughter. I was raised in church, and I told everybody I was a Christian. But I finally just kind of brought it up, and I got saved that day. But later through the next year, just one of my friends moved away, and then my other best friend was being homeschooled at the time, and it was really hard because I didn't have anybody to like talk to and hang out with at school, and I just kind of felt really lonely, still kind of struggling with the idea that God had forgiven me even though I wasn't perfect. And that I never would be, and that was really hard, and I just kind of had a lot of anxiety. Like, I really got scared that something was going to happen to my parents, because that's all I'd like known, and I started just being really attached to my mom, and I couldn't leave the house without her. I wanted to always be in the same room as her, and I couldn't go to bed at night easily anymore because she would be all the way across the house from me, and that terrified me. And going to school was extremely difficult, and I cried a lot of mornings because I had to leave my parents, and they were the only comfort I kind of had at the time. Even though God was there, I wasn't really maybe seeking Him as much as I could have been, and I just kind of started having a lot of anxiety, more than I'd ever experienced before. And I finally told my mom one day that I'd been having suicidal thoughts, and I just started crying. And I was scared, and I knew that God was there because I was a Christian, and I'd been maybe praying about it, but I started praying a lot harder, and I started really searching for God. And I feel like through that time, there were a lot of things, there were a lot of events that I could go on and tell you guys about, and I don't really have time to do that, but there were a lot of things that God showed me through this, and one of them was kind of like a mission trip my summer, or like spring break of my 5th grade year at school. And so I went on it, and it was really hard because I had to leave my parents for like a full week. And I just remember praying and God answering me, and that was just amazing to me. And He sent me the verse Luke 9:23, which says, if any of you wants to be my disciple, you must deny yourself daily and pick up your cross. And I never thought about it again after that. That's just, at that moment I knew I had to go. So I got put on anxiety medicine, and I just got recently taken off of it, which was a really big thing for me. But through all of that, I just remember God showed me him, and I would never go back and undo any of that, which sounds crazy, because there was a lot of pain that was involved in just all of that, mentally and even physically, and I wouldn't undo any of it, because through that, I got to see God so much closer, and my relationship with him got to grow. A lot of people just go on this like huge spiritual high after they get saved, and maybe I did for a few months, but I kind of hit rock bottom for a long time, just not knowing who I was, if I wanted to be here anymore. But I feel like through all of that, God just showed me his love, and now I kind of like my dad. I don't ever shut up about Jesus with my friends. And sometimes I can get maybe a little bit annoying, because all I want to talk about is how amazing he is in my life, because I know how amazing God is.